Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Climb, the Confident Leader podcast, where we share the stories of leaders moving from invisible to becoming an influencer. I am your host, Rahul Karan Sharma, and we are here again with an amazing guest today. Our today's guest is a seasoned executive coach who empowers scale up CEOs to make high impact decisions for rapid growth. With over 40 CEOs coached across 17 countries and a background as a corporate and scale up CEO, tech investor, managing partner of an exponential innovation consultancy, and chairman. Our guest brings a unique blend of practical experience in go to market strategies, mergers and acquisitions, and scaling disruptive business models. He is a regular contributor to CNBC and other media and an engaged member of YPO, world's largest CEO leadership organization. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together for one and only Loic Potjes to our show. Loic, how are you doing today?
Hi, Rahul. I'm doing great on this happy morning, and great to have you. Great to be here, and thank you for hosting me. Very much looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure. Your experience is very broad and very specific to our C-level executives who are taking those high pressure and very meaningful decision. But before we dive into the specifics, Loic, can you please share with our listeners about your own journey, motivated you to do what you're doing, and how you started your journey? So please enlighten us.
So let me start by the end. I've been recently diagnosed with severe ADHD. And there was like a light bulb moment because I can reread the story of my life, partly through that, on profound and deep changes and career. And so I've always been looking for the 80/20. I've always been looking for like the love of moving mountains, essentially, that then draws a tremendous energy and where you get focused to. And with ADHD, your mind gets to see patterns and see insights and see in fresh ways, in innovative ways. And I've always kind of been able to solve problems, to understand situations, to kind of put teams together and have the high energy to then move things forward in 80% in the right direction. So that's what I call the blessing side of things, or the superpower. On the other side, on the challenging side, it's the where most of us don't always like routine. And well, people with severe ADHD like me, like, it becomes like almost an insurmountable challenge to go and trying to get to routine and repetitive tasks and so on. And I've always moved from challenge to challenge that way. I remember after university, went to Africa to go and save the world, as one would at 23 years old. And so I ended up being the finance director of the Catholic Church there. Lots of lovely people, great value and faith, not much on the financial skills, unfortunately. And so I had to do a turnaround and more from just common sense rather than the experience I didn't have. And so over a year, we got back to on track and got the major funding agencies back on track for the myriad of hospitals and clinics and development and pastoral projects we were helping throughout the country. Went back to Europe, started working for multinationals, and it was about the integration of a new company or scaling tech or leveraging a new business. And so every time 80/20, and learn lots of things. Then got married, did my MBA, and then got one-way tickets to South Africa, on the tip of the African continent, to go and start the subsidiary as a young expat CEO at 31 years old. My first CEO stint, to go and start the subsidiary of a Swedish multinational, Securitas, which I did. I bought a number of business. We brought it to a large established corporate player with 4,000 employees. Then we had to turn it around and change the business model because the market rational would take anymore our previous business model. We failed traditional businesses that need over. I brought the four guys on board and we changed things. We changed a lot. We changed rapidly. It went sometimes in a difficult way, but it became a huge success story thanks to those guys. And so we quadrupled. Geez, that's amazing. I had been at 39, a CEO, a corporate CEO for 8 years, and I thought, hey, where can I learn? Where learning? So I resigned, jump off the cliff without a parachute, thinking, hey, what's next? I need to reinvent myself. I started an exponential advisory company, thinking, how do I help companies tune that you have business linear modeling to make it work? If you want to scale outside of the norm, well, you have aligned in a reasonable way to have a chance to scale and to grow your business. So did that for a number of years. And then I invested into a SaaS business, a technology business for a venture capital firm. And I ended up being the jockey or CEO for 3 years of an entrepreneur. Exited, hey, I've become a CEO coach. I said, well, what is that? And he explained, and amazing because I'm helping scale up entrepreneurs and CEO, Miami, New York, Bogota, Mexico, Lithuania, Poland, London, the UK, the India, Hong Kong, a couple of countries in Africa, Tunisia. So I've now helped about 60 plus CEOs finding their flow, have becoming the best self at the service of the business, helping the business realize and achieve its full potential. Part of that process to align them, enable them, and that's giving me lots of joy. And besides that, sorry, I'm being long-winded, but I'm married. I have 2 teenagers, and we've lived in Johannesburg in South Africa now for 17 years. And I'm originally from Brussels in Europe, Belgium.
All right. That has been an amazing journey, Loic, that you just shared, working with C-level executives in different continents, and your own journey as young as 31, uh, taking the full ownership of an organization, turning it around. It's a great journey. Now, I'm sure this journey would not be it may not be like a smooth sail. It would have their own fair share of challenges. You must have had your own obstacles. I would I would want to know, Loic, that working with so many different individuals from so many different countries, and then you became a coach, how your own experience shaped your focus to build that self confidence. Help us understand that, please.
So how did I build confidence? I think it was first about being aware of my lack of self-confidence first.
Mm,
And growing with ADHD, which I didn't know at the time, yeah, I was not like able to do the same things that other kids. I would excel at some things, and I wouldn't be able to cope with other things. And so, I think it was through developing compensation mechanism, through understanding, okay, how do I cope with this? How do I to? And I started having like a thirst for proving myself or the world or whoever, like that I was able to cope. I was able to doing well. And so I became imbued with an enormous drive to learn, to develop myself, to achieve things. And that really and I had that huge amount of anxiety, as in, am I good enough? Am I okay? Am I able to cope? And the more I had that, the more it set me to overperform and overachieve. But each time I would overachieve, and people would tell me, "Wow, that's amazing! You did a great thing there." But I said, "Okay, okay, okay." But I would be caught up with that again. That's that lack of self confidence, and it would set me to then climb the next mountain and the next one and the next one. And so, with that diagnostic of ADHD, now I understand myself a little bit better and where all of that comes from, or most of that. And what I now, with the start of gray hair a little bit and hopefully a tiny bit of wisdom, the thought that occurs to me, it's really that kind of anxiety is more pacified now, but whilst it's still there, I leverage it, I turn it into positive anxiety, as in
Mm,
positive stress, that I then leverage to say, okay, what can I do? And it allows me to see what could not work. And if
mm.
I'm able to develop coping strategies and coping mechanisms to what could not work and solve for that, then there's a fair likelihood that it will work. And so I'm able to risk analyze all the time to say, okay, what could we do better? What could we, and that sets me to continue to achieve, but in a kind of a positive stress, leveraging it.
Got it.
And
Got it.
so, yeah, that's the thought. So self-confidence, still work in progress.
Nice. I like the way you mentioned that acknowledging that you are lacking that self confidence. That was something, a bigger learning for me. And for listeners, this is the first golden nugget that has been dropped by Loic, is knowing that you or being aware of your lack of self confidence is amazing, because when you know, then only you can work on it. So thank you for sharing from your experience. Now, when I was doing my research, I learned that you emphasize a lot when it comes to the root cause of leadership challenges. And coming from learning and development background, organization development background, Loic, we also focus more on that root cause, because we don't want to focus on the problems which can reoccur later. So, uh, can you share a moment when going deep really unlocked your client's confidence? How identifying the root cause helped your client?
Yeah. So, for example, I have a greatly successful entrepreneur, a second generation family business, and he's in the manufacturing space. And he has a heart and a brain and a capacity larger than life, and he's able to, and he cannot help himself with an extraordinary energy and glass half full, get himself into all sorts of opportunities and so on and so forth. And we started analyzing what was working and what wasn't. And then we started a bit of a diagnostic kind of on the investments and the ventures that he got himself into. And there was the like an 80-20, like 80% of the stuff he was focusing on, only 20% had positive results.
Mm.
But then now the 20% of stuff the other 20% was yielding 80% results. Now, his first thought was, okay, so if 80% of what I'm busy with is wrong, then I shouldn't do new ventures. I should kind of force myself to do substantially less, and should force myself to not being an entrepreneur again. And so all of a sudden, he turned the other complete way.
Mm.
And the root cause came a bit, came, what's right or what's wrong? Spending 80% of your time on stuff that's extremely unlikely to bear results. We agree, that's not, you scattered, you all over. It doesn't mean to throw yourself with the bathwater, throwing the baby with the bathwater, because he's amazing at starting stuff, at scaling stuff, at solving problems. He's actually an extraordinary entrepreneur. Now, what's blocking him? So that's not the root cause. And trying to negate and deny who he is isn't going to be helpful. But when we get to the root cause of what you need is clarity on where you should align your strengths to.
Mm.
And so I gave him the image of a Formula One car. But if you go with a Formula One car and you have a mountain bike track, your Formula One is awesome, but it's not going to help you run the mountain bike track race. And so it's about the fit for purpose. So if he's great at being a Formula One driver and go at speed and so on, well, you need to run Formula One races. Let's define that together. And we set up a grid of key criteria. We said, okay, what do you know best? He knows his culture, geography, he knows his industry through and through, and lateral industries. He's got years of experience. He's got a team in the business that he's got overheads, he's got leverage, and he's very well known. He has a proper reputation where he is. Now, all of that are then the investment criteria. And so if you're going to now categorize your ventures into what's close to what you're uniquely great at, industry, expertise, and so on and so forth, and you're going to take out what shouldn't be there. And we realigned his portfolio. Within 2 weeks, as an entrepreneur, he had already sorted 5, 10 ventures he shouldn't have been with. He disposed of them in various ways. He had a refocus to the stuff, and he had power of awareness. When you know the stuff that's going to make a difference, and you know where to concentrate, and you have that natural ability. Now he was running races and winning. So it was a diagnostic. Then he thought, I shouldn't be who I am anymore. But then we said, hang on, let's align you. You have amazing strengths. So that alignment got into the real root cause, which is, in this case, he hadn't a structured investment criteria and he was all over the place, gave him fulfillment, the joy of winning, the joy of alignment, the joy of flowing to his core talents. But you need to have that root cause analysis to get you to what exact problem are you solving here.
Sure. No, I think you are making a great point. If we don't know the real cause of the problem, then you may be just solving the problem from the surface level, which will reoccur again at a later point. So for our listeners, look at the things. Look at how much time are you spending in things that may not yield the results that you are looking for. And that will help you in focusing on your time, because we all have limited time. We all have those 24 hours. And where and how you spend your time will really determine your success. So thank you for sharing that story, Loic. It's very unique and very much in line with today's leadership, because most of us, we just keep on doing things. We do not realize where our time is going. And suddenly we see, oh my God, I don't have time. I have so many projects, but I don't have time. But we all have time. We need to just create time for those most important things in your life. So thank you, man.
And to
And
me, Rahul, I
yeah.
couldn't conquer more. And what
Mhm.
comes to mind is the power of aligning your talent. And
Mm,
all of us have been born with talent. You know, it's like in the Bible, you have the parable of the talents, and it's a story that says that we all have received 1 or 3 or 5 talents, big or small, doesn't matter. But we all are Messi, as in a Lionel Messi at soccer. We all have a talent that we're great at, and so it's about understanding where we are greatly talented, where we are good, two completely different things. Huh? So I'm sure that Lionel Messi can be good at many sports, but he's only extraordinarily talented at soccer. Yeah.
right.
And then equally important is to understand what we're crap at, you know, because all of us are crap at something.
Mm,
And inevitably, it's the stuff that we procrastinate doing. And we might very well have a competency there through years of experience. But still, it's the stuff we don't enjoy doing, we don't naturally do, we leave it to the following day and so on. And so
right.
there's 2 key lessons there that for me are absolute. So for joy, fulfillment, and the greatest impact, know what your talent is.
Mm,
Then know what you're good at and know what you're crap at. And align yourself to your areas of great talent and flow in there, because that's where you're most likely to excel. That's where you're most likely to find joy, fulfillment, and do naturally great things.
correct.
And so that's the first core thought. The second core thought is that who is with you on your team?
Mm,
And the big pitfall as entrepreneurs is we recruit more of the same. We want to clone ourselves, and we identify with people who think and feel like us. And to the analogy of soccer, if I'm an attacker, I will recruit other great attackers on the team. Now, if you have a soccer team with only attackers and strikers, it's not going to be very much performing. Or if you have only midfielders and not a goalie or defenders, it's not going to be and so it's the power, not of diversity, but of complementarity of talent. So that as a team, you can have a perfect team, as in well balanced in all the core areas, but you cannot have a perfect individual. And so know your core talents and then know your gaps and make sure you recruit people who are exactly not like you and who will complement you, so that when comes the various life cycles of projects, you can field people as a coach. As a
mhm.
CEO, we move from I'm an expert at something to now I'm a coach. I need to fill the team and I cannot do it all myself. And if you know who to play when, that's when the core talent and the art and the flowing team now gets to, but you cannot do that if you don't understand yourself and your core talent. And so that to me has been hugely enabling throughout my work life. And that's the part of the work I do with entrepreneurs to get themselves to know themselves, to then map the team and that's having the engine in the car. And you can have the best strategy if you don't have the right engine in the car. You know, you won't win the race.
Sure. I think it's a mic drop moment now. We don't need to talk further because the kind of golden nuggets you have just shared is impeccable. Specifically when you shared about Lionel Messi. While we all know he's a great footballer, I personally admire his leadership. In the last FIFA World Cup, when the entire team went to hug the penalty shootout kicker, Lionel went to hug Martinez, the goalkeeper who saved the penalties. But at the same time, I would also want our listeners to learn about Lionel. He was not born footballer. He had his own fair share of challenges. He was differently able and he worked hard to bring his talent to make it a reality. He worked on his talent. So I would highly recommend going through and viewing his documentary. But coming back on what Loic, when I said there might drop moment, because I see many leaders, we have this bias of hiring people who who are like us, who belong to us because we are more familiar, we are more we feel it more easy to work with people who are like us. But that is probably one of the bigger mistake that we may be making. And as Loic recommended, we should be hiring people with unique talent, because if we just get a goalkeeper in the team, guess what will happen? If you get only defenders, no strikers, guess what will happen? So we need people with unique skills, unique capabilities. So thank you for giving that word of wisdom, my friend. It's really, really important. Now, coming back on C suite folks, because I know you work a lot with C suite leaders, I often see, and I also, read books as well, articles. We notice that many C-suite leaders, they are very isolated when it comes to their own self. There are not too many people they can go and wind themselves. There are not too many people that where they can have that stress buster or that coffee meeting or that walk. In that scenario, how you help or what kind of advice you give to those leaders, specifically in that high pressure role when they are isolated, how they can regain the confidence when everything is against them.
So you really need to have a space for clarity and for working on the business.
Mm.
And so if you're an exec, a C-suite executive in a reasonably large corporation, then there's a certain amount of politics by the mere fact that there are a large number of humans in the room or in the organization. And so you could speak to shareholders, to investors, through your colleagues on an exco, through your CEO, through your employees, but you can't really say everything to everyone. And you can't always share your fears, your hopes, your challenges in a complete safe space. And so where would you find that safe space?
Mhm.
That space where you can extract yourself from the 12 hours a day job, where you can stop seeing each tree separately, but you can have some perspective and see the forest and get a sense of clarity on what's going to move the needle, where you can realign yourself, reshare, re, but it needs to be a space of confidentiality. And so coaching, I find, is really amazing for that. It's a space where the coach is neither the investor, nor the employee, nor the colleague, nor your CEO, exco member, and so on and so forth. And it's a complete safe space.
Mm.
I would strongly encourage to take a coach that has serious executive experience, because if not, coaching is amazing in its own right. But when you speak about certain complex situations in a business environment, you could have your coach looking at you like, and like it fly over his or her head. They don't understand the complexities and the challenges, the depth of possibilities or challenges that you're sharing. And that's not really helpful. And so people with great executive experience who are then trained as a coach can be very, if they can play both on the coaching and the mentoring field, that's quite amazing. For example, I was coaching the CEO of a large financial institution, a bank, and into coaching, and we were coaching about a huge overhaul of the whole IT infrastructure of the bank and not only the ERP, but also the client facing interfaces and so on. So, needless to say that first I understood that if that went pear-shaped, the bank ceases to function correctly and the guy's job is gone, and probably it's going to be very hard for him to find another job after a blunder of that magnitude. So that the immediate granular understanding of the context was key. Then it dawned on me that there was a couple of aspects of a complex IT infrastructure implementation that he was not seeing. It was his first time. Now, I happened to have done it a couple of times, and then I saw these gaps vividly. Now I thought, hang on, I've got a choice here. I can move from coaching, I can stay in coaching to say, okay, how do you feel now, and what would you see yourself do, and so on. But there's an abyss in front of him. Now I said, okay, I see a couple of things that you may have overlooked that may be of significant importance for you. I would then move to mentoring for an experience share. Would that be helpful to you? He said, yeah, okay, let me hear. And I went through experience sharing and then brought it back to share to coaching to say, now, with that in mind, what do you think? If you were to overlook this, what would happen? Yeah, I'd lose my job. He had sensed it. And so the ability, again, to have a safe space of clarity, of perspective, of someone who has a coaching training that helps you learn by yourself, but that has also mentoring experience and solid experience as an exec to some time, that's of great value. And for that,
Well,
you need to have chemistry,
sure.
because
Sure.
coaching, mentoring would only work if you have vulnerability, authenticity, and if you seize the space and if you get the best of it for yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah, for all these execs, 12 hours a day on the treadmill, just lift your head up, take a break, get your space of clarity, be it with a coach, be it somewhere else, but do get it. You need it.
I think you have very well put this, and I never thought that coaching could be a solution for someone who is feeling isolated at sea level. But the way you shared your input, it makes perfect sense for a C-suite executive to get clarity on their thoughts and share things with their coach, because I'm sure that when we sign a client, we have our own NDA, so we are obligated not to share things with anyone else. We keep things confidential. And number two, I also learned this that many executives, and I would not just say executives, many people, they see coaching as a sign of weakness. They see that coaching is only for people who are not doing good. And I want to clarify to all my listeners that don't look coaching as a sign of weakness or as a sign only for someone who is not doing good. You get a coach to improve. You get a coach to go to that next level. You get a coach to find those blind spots which no one else will share. So use that funding that companies having. I know a lot of companies have this tuition reimbursement program or a professional development fee. Use that money to have a coach, an executive coach, if not every month, once in a quarter, and you will see that difference. But just having a coach will not bring any difference. You need to act on the action items that you and your coach agree. You need to do that kind of work uh, to be more aware, to make sure that you really know yourself. So thank you, Loic, for bringing that point, because I'm in agreement with you that having a coach and a mentor is it's a need of an hour, I would say. And it is not more of a luxury, it is a necessity. So if you are an investor or if you are a chairman of our organization, do you have a coach for your CEO? Ask that question. If not, reach out to Loic. He would be one of the perfect choice for you to have that coach for your CEO. Uh, uh,
Oh,
great
thank you,
input,
Rahul.
Loic.
And then I would even go further. So you're saying that sometimes there might be a perception in the minds of people that going to a psychologist or to a coach may be a sign of weakness. I would turn it completely around. A very strong sign of weakness comes from people who think they don't need to learn, they don't need to develop themselves, they don't need the space of clarity, they don't need any of that. Once they made up their mind to that, and there might be some old thinking of the autocratic CEO or exec who knows it all and who's supposed to know it all because it's his job. And so, but you can't have that anymore.
Right.
If you're in that mindset, it's a weak mindset and your days are numbered.
Mm.
Because in this DNA, it's like a century ago, you could get away with it because life was fairly linear. And if you didn't learn, was kind of you could get away with it. But now, at the pace at which every technology, every geopolitical situation, all the markets are moving, the guy that stops learning is a dead man walking. So you
Mm.
need that curiosity, that thirst for learning, for developing yourself. And so to the same tune that coaching is a space where you can learn about yourself, there's many more space like maybe continuous education, self learning, and so on and so forth. But do continue and do craft. The key questions are: when is the last time you had an exec education? Did you ever have a coach?
Mm.
What are you doing to nourish your brain? And is that aligned with the fast moving texts and events of our times? And so make sure you get yourself some proper healthy habits in all of those categories. Otherwise, you might not last very long in your current job, in your career, and so on. So
Yeah.
sign of strength to keep it showcases a strong ability, and that ability at the service of developing oneself can lead you somewhere.
Sure. I think great pointers shared by Loic. Now, I know we can keep on, but in the essence of time, we need to move forward. So before we move to our rapid fire segment, the last segment of our show, I would want Loic to have an opportunity to talk about your company, your approach, and how listeners who are looking for that confidence that you have instilled in last 20-25 minutes, if they want more of that, how they can connect with you, how they can work with you, share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Rahul. So I really work across the world, mostly online. So I've helped entrepreneurs and CEOs in 25 countries in the last couple of years. And so the easiest way to connect, if you are scaling up entrepreneur, if you are a CEO, if you are an exec in a listed company, by all means be in touch. It's on my website, the easiest, disruptiveleap.com, like a disruption, disruptiveleap.com. And there you can book a chat, you can WhatsApp, email, be in touch. Always great to chat. I'll do also a taste of CEO coaching for those who haven't before. So it's kind of understanding the power of it by a complementary session where you bring a major concern, a challenge somewhere where you lack clarity, and we just make sense of it together. And thereafter, you're good to go to answer a practical question:
Mm.
is coaching for me or not? Because if you haven't like gone through it, you make a theoretical choice. And so that's one very easy way to. What I also do in terms of strategy is Gen AI exponential sessions. And so it's essentially on the exponential methodology, which is the scaling substantially more rapidly than linear business models. And again, it answers to its own laws and ratios and so on. And we craft for your business an exponential insight, or we crack or unpack a major bottleneck to move the needle 80% in the right direction with something that's quite practical and that you can put into action, that you can start putting into action within days, within your current capital structure, resources, and so on. and we leverage generative AI. So it's like the power of having 1,000 consultants in the room at once. I've worked quite a bit with it, so I know where it synthesizes super well. I know when it fails to generate insights, and we just dance with the AI, which is a great. We don't always get to revolutionize every business overnight. If it was that easy, I would be a billionaire. But often we generate these insights, transformational, but you learn to dance with the AI. You learn to play with AI on the frontier, not just business flow and workflow optimization and automation, or all of those good things, but they tweak to your business model. They don't get your business to its full potential. So that's what we focus on.
Wow.
So by all means, always happy to chat. So be in touch. Yeah.
All right. So we will include his Loic's website on our show notes so that it's easier for you to find him. And would definitely recommend you connecting with him and learning more about him and see if it's a good fit, because you really need to have a coach where you believe that things will happen. As Loic mentioned earlier, it has to be have that chemistry. You really need to have that with the coach, because you need to believe in yourself first and you need to believe in the coach. That's where the miracle happens. That's where the magic happens. So now we're moving to a rapid fire round, 5 questions coming to Loic, where we would want him to respond instantly. Are you ready, my friend?
Let's go.
All right. So the first one, quotation you live by.
Let me make sense of that. It was something to the tune of do not ask for tasks equal to your strengths, but for strength equal to your tasks.
Do not ask for task equals strength, but strength equal task. Wow. Well said.
Life
Ah,
dishes out stuff at you, but get the strengths to be able to cope to in the best possible.
nice. Nice. What's one daily routine you never skip, no matter how hectic your day has been?
The morning coffee roll, very, very important in life.
Absolutely. And then having that time to really soak in is very important while having that coffee. Um, are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm more in the morning. I'm actually a fake morning person. So
Okay.
I know I can be super focused at night, but
Uh,
I tend not to do that because I enjoy my family time and relaxed time, and so I'm I'm that morning person. But actually, I know I'm an evening
yeah.
person, but I just don't want to admit it.
One of the unique answer I received with almost 50 plus guests, a fake morning person. Love it. Um, what's one leadership skill you wish someone would have taught you earlier?
The power of knowing myself sooner, like for example with my ADHD or anything else that makes you or me unique, that power is what to stay away from, what to focus on. That is, instead of learning slowly, if someone had given me the user manual 50 years ago, geez,
Mm.
what a breath of fresh air.
All right, the last one. If your career were a Netflix series, what would be the title of season one be?
It would be Alex, your wacky coach with ADHD.
Ah, I like it. I like it. All right. So thank you for participating on our rapid fire round, Loic. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate the wisdom you shared. Before I let you go, I will share my learnings from the show. And listeners or people watching us on YouTube, now this is your time to put in comments about your biggest takeaway from the show. So for me, there have been many golden nuggets that were dropped by Loic. But I will start with the first one is awareness. Being aware that you lack self confidence is superb. Unless and until you know that you lack it, you will never go for it. So bring that awareness in you, and that awareness can be given to you by your coach. Um, Another aspect which Loic mentioned is focus on the time where you spend or which task you spend on. Many of us, we spend 80% of our time in tasks that may give us only 20% of the results, or probably the task which may not even give the desired results. So focus on that aspect. Another big was know your talent. We all are talented. We all have the skills, But knowing what we are good at, knowing what we are not good at is so important that will determine your success. Also, do not have only those people whom you like, only those people who are having similar skills like you in your team. Try to hire people who come with unique culture, who comes with unique talent, who comes with unique skill, because we all are different, and that uniqueness will help you taking to that leap that will really make a difference for you and for your organization. And last and not the least, the big one, then as a C-level executive, when you are at isolation, get the clarity. Then the clarity for that isolation. And who better person can be than coach? Get a coach, get a mentor in your life and see the difference. See the difference not just for you, not just for your company, but for your family and loved ones. Because they will be the most happiest individuals when you go home without taking any work in your head. When you go home, when you are mindfully present with them, when you go home, when you are present in those critical moments which matters the most. So ask that question to yourself, who is your coach? If you don't have the answer, connect with Loic and have a conversation, and you never know where things will take you from there. So again, thank you for listening. And Loic, I really thank you for being on our show. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Very confident that our listeners will take a lot of takeaways from our conversation. Thank you once again. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Rahul. Same for you. Thank you for having me.